It's the ongoing history of protest songs. Clap your hands and sing along. So this is CJ Baker, and recently I did a Public Enemy deep dive. And in connection with that, I recently posted a video where I was joined by my special guest, Joe Opinionated, where we ranked every Public Enemy studio album. So you can feel free to check out that video. And you could also check out Joe Opinionated, his YouTube channel, at my friend Joe. But I followed that up. I recently posted on my website my first of probably many shameless plugs, ongoing history of protest songs.com. I posted a list of 25 Public Enemy protest songs. I decided that in this video, I'll discuss 15 of them. So, of course, the vast majority of Public Enemy songs are protest songs, but some kind of fit that category better than others. And Chuck D has even stated that rap music is the black CNN. So Chuck D, in many ways, a lot of his songs come across as hard-hitting street journalism. So we're just going to consider a few examples of this, and we'll get right into it. So we're going to discuss these songs chronologically. So the first song, Rebel Without a Pause, from 1987. So it was released as a single in 1987, but it appeared on their 1988 landmark sophomore album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. So the song was inspired by Eric B. and Rakim's song, I Know You Got Soul. So in connection with that, Bomb Squad member Hank Shockley stated,
and that record was inspired by, I was listening to Mr. Magic, and he said, we got this new track. It was by Eric B. and Rakim, and he was playing it, and he played I Know You Got Soul. And I was supposed to go into the movie theater with my family to watch this movie, and I stayed in the car listening to it because he played it like 2 times, maybe 3 times in a row. And the record was so hot to me that I was burning. I was pissed. I was like, yo, how can they do this? All right. And so the minute I got to a phone, I called Chuck and I said, Chuck, did you hear this? And he was like, yo, Hank, I was listening to the same thing. That shit got me on fire. I'm pissed. He said, so we went in and made what we considered to be the inverse of I Know You Got Soul.
So in connection with that angle, the lyrics are non-conformist and they highlight Chuck D's commitment to musical activism. So for example, it includes the lyric, I'm just a radical, not on sabbatical. And the lyrics also refer to the Black Panther Party. So it includes the line, Panther Power on the hour from the rebel to you. And it also makes a call to impeach then U.S. President Ronald Reagan. So it includes the lyric, impeach the president, pulling out my ray gun, zap the next one, I could be your shogun. And even that reference to Ronald Reagan is ray gun, it's also an expression that Gil Scott-Heron used. Like, for example, on the Saw B movie, Gil Scott-Heron was definitely an influence on Public Enemy and an influence on political rap music. So yeah, so that's the first track we've mentioned, Rebel Without a Pause. So the next one, also from It Takes a Nation of Millions, is Don't Believe the Hype from 1988. So the song was inspired by Noam Chomsky's 1988 book, Manufacturing Consent, the Political Economy of Mass Media. So the song explores similar themes to Chomsky, so similar themes in connection with media propaganda and distortions of truth. And then there's also the lyric, don't believe the hype, it's a sequel. So that makes a powerful and sadly relevant statement about failure to learn from history. So basically, it's happened before and it's happening again. So the next song, Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, which is another iconic tune from It Takes a Nation of Millions. So concerning the tune's motivation, Chuck D stated, back when I was 7 years old, I saw my uncle come to my grandmother's house to get his draft papers for Vietnam. Of course, as a kid, you're trying to see what's going on. I saw their faces drop. I thought about the whole draft policy. It just stuck with me. I was like, if I have to go to jail for not fighting a war, then breaking out is righteous. So yes, the song really makes a powerful statement because especially with the draft, there were many individuals that were drafted to fight a war that they did not understand and that they did not agree with. And with black people, there was even an extra dynamic to that because you also are adding that aspect of the years of systemic racism. And now I've had to deal with this history of systemic racism. And now you're asking this individual to die for your country as well. But also in connection with this hard-hitting storytelling narrative, the song's also the perfect combination of Bomb Squad's minimalistic but powerful musical attack. So that powerful musical attack adds to Chuck D's gripping storytelling narrative. And I also want to mention that there's a trippy cover version that was recorded by Tricky that appeared on Tricky's 1995 debut album, Max and Quail. So that version features powerful jazzy vocals from Martina Topley Bird. So the next song we're going to discuss is Fight the Power, which is from 1989. So the concept of the tune originated when director Spike Lee approached Public Enemy about composing an anthem for his 1989 film, Do the Right Thing.
I had a dilemma. I was writing a film, and this character, Ray Rahim, carried a boombox. And every time he showed up in the script, this song was playing. We knew the song was coming out in the summer of 1989. And in the summertime, there's always one song in New York that if it's a hit, you can hear it everywhere. On the subway, cars, coming out of people's houses. I wanted this song to be an anthem that they could express what young black America was feeling at this time. At this time, New York City under Mayor Ed Koch was racially polarized, and I wanted this song to be in the film. I called Chuck up.
I was in between tours. I was headed on tour in Europe with Run DMC, and I remember before I left, I need an anthem.
And the first song wasn't it. I said, Chuck, you gotta come back. You gotta go back into the woodshed. But he came back with the anthem. Fight the...
So the tune ended up being used prominently throughout the film. And the film was a riveting and controversial examination of racial tensions. So Chuck D's inspiration came from the Isley Brothers' 1975 protest classic of the same name.
So we all knew about the first Fight the Power by the Isleys in 1975. That pretty much is the theme of Fight the Power in 1989, being reflective of Do the Right Thing, speaking about all the bullshit going down and how do we handle it.
Fight the power.
So it included the song's refrain of "We've got to fight the powers that be." So the lyrics touch upon similar themes of fighting against oppression. But Chuck D updates the lyrics to give a modern backdrop. So the song also ends up appearing on Public Enemy's influential 1990 album, Fear of a Black Planet, and the tune continues to be an endearing anthem of Black empowerment and enlightenment. And the lyrics also address issues of cultural appropriation and the importance of learning about and celebrating Black history and culture. So that's even the line that most of my heroes don't appear on those stamps. And then the lines about Elvis is a hero most, but he don't mean shit to me, and fuck John Wayne.
In that song, you said Elvis. Can you the line?
Right. Elvis was a hero the most, but he never meant shit to me. You see, straight up racist, that sucker was simple and plain. Motherfuck him and John Wayne, right? We as Black people always grew up around Elvis, but why is he the king? Why is he the icon? And I was trying to say in that record, dude, there's not only is there Little Richard still around, Bo Diddley at that time, everybody was around. Even Jerry Lee Lewis. Not only were they just as iconic and they deserved a king too, or Elvis didn't deserve to be called king, but they were doing gigs.
Yeah.
At the same time. So this whole Elvisism, I was done with. John Wayne, I put him in there because I read Jim Brown's book, Out of Bounds. And Jim Brown said he was a piece of shit.
Well, there you have it.
that was enough for me.
So that's all connection, that line about cultural appropriation with Elvis Presley, and then a character like John Wayne that's kind of revealed later on that John Wayne was basically a racist. So in recent years, there was also a new remix version which featured Nas, Rappacy, Black Flag, Jahai, YG, Questlove. So the remix was recorded for the 2020 album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down. So that version resonated in light of what was going on with the Black Lives Matters movement, with the BLM protests that were going on. So concerning that same album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, it also featured a powerful anti-Trump tune, State of the Union, STFU, so we know what that stands for. So that was also featured on that same album there. So the next protest song we're going to discuss is 911 is a Joke from 1990. So also from Fear of a Black Planet. So that features a solo performance by Flavor Flav. And it really serves as a critical commentary on the inadequacies of emergency services in African American communities. So we addresses systemic racism and the disparities that exist and how different neighborhoods receive support from first responders. So Flav's humor and charisma, along with the accompanying music videos, illustrate the reality of how, when emergencies arise, particularly in disadvantaged areas, the response can often be tragically delayed or dismissed.
My friends got stabbed in his side and his lung got punctured. So we called 911. And back in those days, 911 was like a brand new system, and they supposed to show up in but so many minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like 9 minutes or some shit like that. So we called 911, and it took them about maybe 25, 30 minutes to come. By the time that 911 got there, the guy slipped into a coma. So when they put him in the ambulance and they was trying to work on him, on his way to the hospital, he died. So that's when I came up with the part of Um, wait, that's the one I came up with the part about the autopsy ambulance.
So the next song we're going to discuss is Welcome to the Terrordome. So another highlight from Fear of a Black Planet. This tune incorporates a dizzying array of samples combined in various genres and styles to create a wall of sound that is both chaotic and cohesive. So in a Spin magazine interview, Chuck D stated, and this even goes back to what that Chuck D quote before about rap music being the black CNN. Chuck D stated, "Welcome to the Terrordome. What does it mean? It means the 90s are coming. If we as a people do the right thing, we'll be all right. If we do the wrong thing, the black situation is out of here at the end of the decade." The Terrordome is the 90s. I got it from the article called Welcome to the Terrordome that was in Melody Maker magazine. I just changed it to the Terrordome, the house of the 90s. And then the lyrics, not only did it talk about the chaos that was starting to happen in the 90s, but it also refers to the murder of Malcolm X and Huey Newton. So it also draws historical parallels with current events, which is something that Chuck D always did well. And that was something I even mentioned it in the album Waking video, something that I kind of always connected with Public Enemy was the fact that it was educational. It exposed me to things that I wouldn't have known about otherwise.
The audience definitely is a lot tighter than it used to be. Just following the music 5 years ago, it's more tighter than it's ever been. And in that turn, we're putting a lot of information where our people find out more about themselves by researching different sources. And also white kids have been searching black sources because they previously hadn't been able to get them from anywhere, so they've been having to go on a search about how we're, our history, where we're coming from, how to relate to us. We've learned how to relate to ourselves better, and in turn, a lot of the white kids growing up following our music, checking out different historical aspects that they couldn't find through the normal educational channels, they're learning more about us, so that makes communication easier.
So the next song we're going to discuss is Burn, Hollywood Burn, featuring Ice Cube and Big Daddy Kane from 1990. So also from Fear of a Black Planet. So this track, which like I said, features Ice Cube and Big Daddy Kane. It's a scathing expose of the stereotypical portrayal of blacks in movies. So the lyrics even highlights that blacks in movies are often just portrayed as butlers, maids, slaves, and hoes. So the song really expresses a desire for authentic representation and demands accountability from Hollywood for its role in shaping public perception. In the music video, we even adds that dialogue. In the music video also takes shots at the movie Driving Miss Daisy as an example of this stereotype as well. So we'll go to our next song, Can't Trust It, from 1991. So this provocative tune and music video is from the album Apocalypse 91, The Enemy Strikes Black. So it draws parallel with slavery and the corporate war. So in a 1991 interview with Melody Maker, Chuck D stated, "Can't Trust It" is about how the corporate world of today is just a different kind of slavery. We don't control what we create. And because of the media, we don't control the way we think or run our lives. We got to limit working for a situation that's other than ours. We have no ownership of anything if we don't own business, you don't have jobs. So the next song we're going to discuss is By the Time I Get to Arizona from 1991 and also from Apocalypse 91. So featuring a controversial video, it was written in response to Arizona Governor Evan Misham canceling Martin Luther King Day as a federal holiday and the people voting against reintroducing it. So this is Chuck D's hard-hitting response to what he perceives as racist motives. And also, when opening for U2 in 1992, when they played the Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona, the only song they played was By the Time I Get to Arizona. So once they're done performing, they left the stage in protest. So the lyrics continue to resonate in later years in light of Arizona's ongoing history with racism. Like, for example, there was the anti-immigration policies and the racist conduct of former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. So that's an example of the ongoing racism within Arizona. So the song continues to be relevant as well. So we're now going to go with the next song, Shut 'Em Down, from 1991, which is another jam from Apocalypse 91. Shut 'em down, shut 'em down. So this hard-hitting tune protests against systemic racism, which includes predatory lending practices. So it has the lyric, I own loans. Suckers got me running from the banks with liberty. I can't see to pay a fee. It also speaks out against corporations that exploit Black culture for profit without investing back into Black communities. So it includes the lyric, I like night, but wait a minute, the neighborhood supports, so put some money in it. All corporations owe, they gotta give up the door to my town, or else we gotta shut them down. So yes, just to highlight the fact that companies, they exploit Black culture, but they don't pay it forward. So that was just something, a hard-hitting statement from Chuck D. So the next song we're going to discuss is Hazy Shade of Criminal from 1992. So this is one of the new songs from the compilation Greatest Misses. So I even want to make note of the provocative cover of the single because it uses a real-life photo depicting the lynching of two Black men in Marion, Indiana. And then it's surrounded by a mob of smiling white observers. So the lyrics are a scathing indictment of political and corporate criminals, and it also includes the powerful lyric, take a piece of America back, but who had it first? Hear the Indian curse. So that also resonates in light of those who vilify immigrants instead of the real criminals. So the real criminals are the politicians and the elite billionaire class. So the next song we're going to discuss, 4119 from 1999, from the album There's a Poison Going On. So that album was one of the first released online. And the tune, it features some of Flavor Flav's strongest mic work. And it's also somewhat of a departure for Flav because it's a more serious tone, because a lot of the songs have a certain levity to it. So it refers to the murder of Amadou Diallo, a 23-year-old immigrant from Guinea, who was shot by cops 41 times, with 19 of the bullets making contact. So this is a topic that Bruce Springsteen addressed in his song 41 Shots, American Skin. So it's a really strong statement against police brutality, police shootings, and the unjust murder of minorities and black people. So we're now going to go to our next song, Sex, Drugs, and Violence, which features KOS-One from 2007. And it's from the album How You Sell Soul to a Soulless People Who Sold Their Soul. So this is also the same album that features the song Harder Than You Think. And Harder Than You Think is also included on my list of 25 protest songs on my website, ongoinghistoryofprotestsongs.com, shameless plug. So that song, like Harder Than You Think, was basically a celebration in the anniversary, like the 20th anniversary of the debut album, Yo Bumbuster Show. But yeah, get into this song. This song features fellow East Coast hip hop luminary and political rap pioneer KRS-One of Boogie Down Productions. And the lyrics denounce the glorification of, as the title suggests, sex, drugs, and violence in hip hop. But the lyrics also reference a couple of hip hop artists who were murdered, including Jam Master Jay, Run DMC. And also in connection with that, KRS-One, like concerning like violence in hip hop, KRS-One was responsible for organizing the Stop the Violence movement, which included like a hip hop summit that recorded the 1989 anti-violence protest song Self-Destruction. And Public Enemy was also featured on that classic protest song Self-Destruction as well. So just to make that link there. So the next song we're going to discuss, Icebreaker from 2012 from the album The Evil Empire of Everything. So I really want to include this song because it stood out to me because of the fact that it's an anti-ICE protest song that speaks out against the United States immigration policy. So right off the bat, it's still relevant, but I also want to highlight the fact that this was released while Obama was still president. So it shows that Public Enemy was not afraid to take shots at both sides of the political aisle. And it also highlights the fact, and one thing about Public Enemy is a lot of the songs come across as prophetic, but it's only prophetic in the sense that the songs are sadly still relevant. So yeah, they're kind of like they have that song, which is also included on my list of 25 protest songs, Prophets of Rage. But the only reason why the songs are prophetic is, like I said, they're sadly still relevant. The reality is what's going on now has happened in the past and unfortunately will most likely continue to happen again in the future because unfortunately humans tend to fail to learn from history. So we're now going to go to our last song we're going to discuss in this video, March Madness, which is from Public Enemy's latest album, Black Sky Over the Projects, Apartment 2025. So this timely tune was released as a single on Juneteenth, and it features hidden verses from both Flavor Flav and Chuck D. So Flav makes reference to the fact that 911 is still a joke, and Chuck D also speaks out against school shootings. So it includes the lyric, does a gun need to be in a school to teach or not? Kids supposed to have fun. None of this. One, for cover for your life, son. Grade 1 to 12, even kindergarten, needs security. And Chuck D also scathingly indicts the NRA with the lyric, lawmakers acting scared of the NRA refusing to change year after year. Let them fall down on the stairs to get out of the building full of Bloodstained Tears. So yes, a powerful, hard-hitting tune dealing with a situation that continues to sadly be prevalent in the United States. So that concludes my list of 15 Public Enemy protest songs. And for the full list of 25 Public Enemy protest songs, check out my website, Ongoing History of Protest Songs.com. And you can also check out the video that I did with Joe Opinionated, where we ranked every single Public Enemy album. And also in that video, we do a little bit of a Desert Island song draft as well. And if you want to just watch the Desert Island song draft, I posted a shorter video that includes just that as well. So, what are your favorite Public Enemy songs? Do you have a favorite Public Enemy protest tune? One that really stands out to you? You can let me know in the comments. And also, if you want me to keep making videos, like and subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. So thanks for watching and please stay safe.